Hey, we're back on another episode of The Lost Element. And, today we got another special guest, a real defender of the culture. Before we introduce the guest, you might have seen his art up on a freeway wall, freight, all these different trains. You probably seen them up around the city near you or a different state if you're out of state. But without further ado, how we do it here on this show. What do you write, my boy?
Yo, what's up, man? I write Cobo from LNO crew, like no other.
Yeah, that's right. So, before we get started, what is the name Cobo? Like, how'd you get that name Cobo?
It's kind of a long story, but I used to be in a rap crew,
Okay.
and called the Civilized Illusions, and my rap name was Clockwise, and I used to write my rhymes in a book, and I named that book Clockwise's Official Book of Knowledge and Information, which is Kobokai if you abbreviate it. So I just rock with the name Cobo for short.
Okay, that's right. So, man, so you got the MC and the writing down.
And I also DJ and I b-boy too. So I do every element of hip hop.
Okay, that's right, master all the elements.
Yes, sir.
So, how we started here. Just tell us a little bit about where you grew up, bro.
Yeah, I grew up. I was born in Harbor City. I grew up in Torrance, Redondo Beach. I'm a '80s kid. So I seen a lot of writing in the '90s and stuff like that. Yeah, the first time I seen a black book was in high school. My boy Glock was the first person to bring a black book in math school.
Okay.
And I seen it, and I was like just blown away by all the colors and stuff like that. And I remember asking him like, "Yo, man, like, how do they color like this? Like, what do they use?" And he was like, "They use Prismas." And so
Okay.
he put me up on Prismas, and then I met my boy Olaf from LCF. He also had a black book, and in his black book he had this character that I really liked, and I asked Olaf, I was like, "Yo, can I tear this page and keep it?" And he was like, he's cool with it. So I had that little drawing in my binder for like years, and that really kind of inspired me to start doing like characters and stuff like that.
Okay, for sure. So when you seen the black book on the character, was that like what initially gave you the bug to start writing?
Well, I always liked this comic book, Calvin and Hobbes.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, but if you've seen like on back of people's cars, there's like a sticker of this kid that's like peeing and stuff. So that's
tiger.
Calvin. So that's
Yeah.
Calvin, and I even named my son after Calvin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he was a really big inspiration to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I know we were talking about it a little bit off air, but you
Yeah.
were saying like you were always into the art
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the illustration. So.
Yeah, I don't know what was like really wanted me to make me draw, but I just remember as a kid asking my mom, like, "Yo, like, mom, like, how do I become a cartoonist?" Like, I remember asking her that, and she would tell me, "I don't know, you just got to be good." And so, ever since that day, like, I still been looking for that answer. But,
Okay.
Yeah, but I went to art school in 2007, and believe it or not, they didn't like me drawing quote unquote like anime drawings, because they didn't see that it's actual art. Like, you got to know your proportions, your human anatomy and all that. But they just kind of neglect it as like something of a fad, and they're like, "No, like, we want you to learn this." But I mean, in a sense, I'm glad they did that, because I did have to learn all the skills in order to like develop my creativity. So yeah, it all worked out.
Okay, that's right, man. Hey, they said the same thing about graffiti too.
Yeah,
They
of
said it
course,
was a
man.
fad.
Anything that people like, they automatically assume it's a fad. But you really got to look into it and dissect it on your own to really understand that there is an actual thing there. Yeah. Same with anime art, man. Like, I frankly don't like to use the term anime, because anime is just the Japanese abbreviation for animation. So Walt Disney, they all had to learn how to draw animals, their anatomy and stuff like that. So that applies to anime art as well, So yeah, it's real art, in other words. Yeah.
Okay, man, you brought up the anime and like being into you want to be a cartoonist with art school.
Yeah.
So like something with like a lot of your bombs is you put a character up.
Yeah.
Is there a story behind that character at all?
Well, it's just the character that I always been drawing. I always liked to. Initially, it was a boy, like my character, but at a certain point, it transitioned into a girl. It's just because I like how girls look. Like they're, they have more aesthetics in their. And they also look bad too, like some of them too.
It's easier to look at a girl too.
It is, yeah, it is, man. And I want to say that I don't know if you played this game Tenchu, man, but I used to play this game Tenchu. You know that game? That was the shit. Oh, I'm sorry, but that was a really good game, and I used to pick Ayame, and that was like the first character where I was like, this girl is way better than the guy,
Yeah.
So that kind of inspired me to appreciate the female characters a little more.
Okay, that's right, bro. Yeah, because that's something I noticed with like all your art.
Yeah.
Like wherever it is, like you put a character up there, which is dope, man.
Yeah. I've always been doing that since day one, doing characters in next to my pieces. But I did see this dude named Odess, and I think he's from Mexico. But he was like the one that was like really rocking these anime characters with spray cans, like doing a full color with details and stuff like that. So when I saw that, it made me like, okay, like I could really rock with this like character, so I try to kind of step it up. Like he really inspired me to trying to go on doing a full character like that.
Okay, that's right. Can you tell us a little bit, because like I brought it up, like you not only hit up in LA County, but you also went out of state.
Yeah, I went to Miami with my boy Bokes, and we had a pretty crazy trip. We happened to come across some acid, so we dropped some acid, and we went on a little trip, just piecing up everywhere, and surprisingly, one of our pieces that we did, like super random, it ended up in a Tory Lanez music video.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so you can peep that. It's a Tory Lanez freestyle. That's what it says. It's not a real song. It's him freestyling, but it's a music video. And all throughout the video, we have Bogues and Cobo like in the background. So I was really stoked when I seen that.
Man, that's sick right there. Like,
thanks, man.
Tory Lanez. Like, that's a big name right there.
Yeah, it is, man. I seen Bogues rocking. I was like, yo, this is sick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask about it, like out there, like how is the graffiti culture in Miami differ from here?
Well, I mean, we could talk about styles, different crews and different writers and stuff like that. But one thing that stuck out, I was really impressed by, because we would take the train like across cities, and like Miami is kind of like a tropical island, So I was really like amazed that like there was just Graff everywhere, like big. Big blockbusters and all kinds of pieces, and that was really ill to me. Like, yo, they're really rocking out there. Like, they're not playing around,
Yeah.
And but other than that, like just the mentality of people on the East Coast is different than it's a different state, different place. So yeah, I take that into consideration as well. Different attitude.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're, you said MC, B-boy, writer, DJ. Which one came first? Like, which love of element came first for you, bro?
The love of element? I'd have to say DJing was the first element of hip hop that I fell in love with. Back in high school, I had these friends that would do house parties, bro, and they would spin house music, like deep house. And I just remember they were showing me that they like mix like the two songs together, and they would mess around with the crossfader, and so the beat would be going, they'd be like ding, 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 and switch it up. Yeah. And I was just blown away, but I was like, yo, that's sick, man. Yeah. And they kind of showed me how to do it, and next thing you know, I went to Guitar Center and got this like Gemini starter kit for $100, and I was on that thing till this day, dude. Yeah, so I think DJing was the first thing I fell in love with.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back. The DJing's dope, but let's get back into the Graff, man.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
After you saw those books and you caught the bug,
Yeah.
you know, like, what made Graff, you know, because everyone always says, like, you catch that bug, like, what made it so addictive?
What made it addictive? Well, for me personally, it was I wanted to get better. You know, I would see crews from my school. I had the CTF crew go to my school. Shout out to Raylos, Nixon, Boost, Toner. They were all rocking already. You know, they were catching spots on freeways, and they had clean letters, and that made me want to like. Back in those days, it was a different mentality. Like, you had to be dope in order to be getting up. So, like, I feel like these days there's a lot of writers that gets up a lot, but they're not really working on their style as much. And back then it was like you had to have style. So for me personally, I didn't even want to get up and be seen until I got my letters down. You know, I had to work on my style before I can go up and be like, yo, here's me, you know. So so I definitely, for me, was trying to get better.
Okay.
So yeah.
Man, you bring up man, the style, like,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like, you know, people got to hit them books first.
Oh man,
Get that style.
gotta do research, and nothing wrong with biting either. You know, you gotta start off somewhere. You know, everybody started off as a toy. Hey, if you got a favorite writer that likes that you like the way he rocks the letters, the E, you know, bite that E for a little while. Try to understand how he did his E, and then flip it so that it's your original flavor, you know. Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit like how you developed your style, because like if I see one of your bombs, like,
Yeah.
without even having to read it,
Yeah.
like I know, like, okay, that was Cobo, like
That's
that was
cool.
Cobo,
Yeah.
like, even if I don't see the character, like, so can you tell us the evolution of your style?
My style, man, I went through a lot of evolutions. I used to just freestyle, you know. I just do what I was feeling with the letters,
Okay.
and try to apply certain things that I learned. But you know, it's funny, the piece that I'm rocking now, coincidentally, the day before I painted with the homie Nest from ECM, who he's pretty well known, you know, he rings bells. The day before I met him and painted with him, I was like at work during lunch, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna try to come up with a sick piece that I really like, you know. And I was rocking certain different angles of pieces that not a lot of people do, and I came with the little just like little angles that I liked. And coincidentally, the next day I painted with Ness, and me, him, and Bogues rocked the train. And that piece that I did is the same piece that I'm still doing now, but just a little more refined now.
Okay, that's right, bro.
Yeah.
You know, like you brought up like some of people in your crew, like you know, Bogues.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you guys had like, you guys are still up to this day, but like
Yeah.
I remember before it was like, okay, if I see Bogues, I'm gonna see Cobo up. But like I even seen you guys up like in IE with different names I didn't know. So like how did you get into LNO, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure,
like,
man.
Application process,
Nah,
interview.
Well, I always used to see the homie Vegas rocking, and the thing about Vegas is what I like about him is that he hits up spots that are unique. You know, like that's the one thing I noticed. Like I think that gets overlooked sometimes. You know, a lot of people think that it's who's getting up the most, but sometimes, you know, like my boy Blotch said, less is more. So you might see a piece rocking just somewhere you'd least expect, and that name will stick to you for a long time just because of the spot he picked, you know. And that was what Vegas did with me. So I'd always see, I'm from Torrance, so I'd always see LNO rocking, Relum, News, you know, Wino. And So I always had a kind of like just a connection there, and I always liked the way their names were, the way they rocked it. So, if it was a crew that I wanted to get down with, I felt like LNO was the one that I could relate most to, and I did. And I think Relum was the first one that reached out to me. He was like, yo, come kick it. I went over to this pad. I met Bokes, News, Vegas, and the thing about these dudes, man, they were just kicking it in their room with black books everywhere, man, markers, and I was like, yo, that's ill, man. I never really kicked it with homies like that, just having black book sessions all day, and they'd pass it around, and so that was real ill, that was something that's cool, and that made me see that the culture is alive still, that was real cool.
Yeah, most definitely, bro. Like you bring up the culture, and like, man, with the black book sessions, bro, like that sounds dope. But I want to ask you, with all the elements of hip-hop, how is graffiti hip-hop? How is it an element?
Well, graffiti's always been a part of the hip-hop culture. It's one element out of the four main ones, which is DJing, MC, b-boying. Back in 2010, I want to say, I met Mr. Wiggles from the Rocksteady crew, which is one of the most known b-boy crews in the world. He told me while he was hitting up in my black book, he told me, yo, every b-boy was a Graff writer back then. And, he grew up in the 70s in Bronx, so I believe his word, all the b-boys, they would go to jams, which the DJ was playing music, and they'd get down on the dance floor, do their moves and come as a crew and show their b-boying skills. And then after that, they go to the train station and catch some pieces. It was a lifestyle in New York back in the 70s, To understand the culture, we got to understand it from their perspective, Being in the 70s with no internet, no, video games to play and stuff like that, no money. They had to come up with something, and they wanted to party, and that's how it all tied into this culture that we have now.
Yeah, still going strong.
Yeah, beautiful culture, and it's lasted for a long time, and it's definitely changed the world, So yeah,
most definitely. Like hip hop is worldwide now.
Definitely, and so as I was saying, b-boying and DJing, we're all under the same umbrella. So I feel like, if you're a Graff writer, if you're in a Graff crew, you should have a b-boy in your crew. You should have, if you got a homeboy that could bust some windmills and flares, put him down with your crew, man. Say that's the b-boy. If you got a homeboy that could bust scratches, on the turntables, put him down with your crew. I got a DJ in my crew. Just be more versatile. So I think that's something that we're kind of losing touch a little bit. And that would be dope to see it come back. We're all under one family.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I would love to see it come back like that.
Back then, me and my boy, I can recall a time when we just mess around, man. We were trying like these 1990 hand spins, and this dude came out of Ross in Torrance, man, and he was like, yo, man, what you guys doing? And we're like, he's like, you guys trying to do 90s? Oh, check this out, man. And he put his book down and he just did a clean 90, man, right in front of our face. And we're like, dude, you're ill, bro. And he was like, yeah, man, my name is Flex. And we just give him mad respect, So I just remember moments like that, how b-boying used to be really intricately connected with this culture, But I feel like you see that kind of less and less as time goes, Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's like another thing to say, like, it's almost a lost element. Like, they're out there, like, you see the videos and stuff, but it's not as abundant. It's
not common, like, as a street thing anymore, We kind of look at b-boys as, like, somebody different from us. Like, oh, they're dancers, they're doing their thing. No, that's your homie that could bust some flares, and maybe he can teach you a move or two, Just, in case... you go to a dance. For me personally, it was like to try to get some girls, like at the clubs. I wanted to do some flares and impress people. So for me, that was the reason. And that seems to be the thing, is that maybe the music is changing as well. So
Yeah.
people aren't dancing as much, and dancing is not really like a culturally accepted thing nowadays. So maybe that has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're gonna take a little break. We gotta play a little bit of music. You guys listen to Lost Element on KQBH LP, Los Angeles, California, 101.5 FM. You guys are listening to the Lost Element on KQBH LP, Los Angeles, California, 101.5 FM, a community service of the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory, broadcasting live on your FM dial and streaming on KQBHLA.com. All right, we're back here with Cobo.
Yes, sir.
Before we left, we were just talking about the Graff and, hip hop as a community and a culture as a whole.
Yeah.
So getting back into it, this first question might be a little heavy hitting.
All right, I'm ready.
I want to ask you, bro, do you consider graffiti art or vandalism?
I was ready for this one, bro. Well, the best way I heard it, that it's one and it's the other. It's both at the same time, because it's a complicated question. So on one end, by definition, if you're writing on somebody else's property, that's vandalism. Okay, that's the way it is. The laws are there for a reason. You don't want someone to come up to your car and scribe an ugly, you as an owner of the property should have a right to be able to be like, yo, you can't do that, So we got to respect it. But then at the same time, graffiti in itself, it is an art form. It's one of the most evolved art of this day. Just because it's with aerosol or whatever doesn't make it not art, So yeah, it's a complicated question. There's no simple answer, but I believe it's both one and the other at the same time.
Yeah, most definitely, bro.
Yeah. And there's a purpose behind graffiti, there's a history, and there's rules of why it's done a certain way. So yeah, it is an art form, and it's a culture at the same time.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the rules of it? Is it bombs over tags, piece over bomb? Like, for the average person out there, like, what are the rules to graffiti?
That is the underlining rule, but unfortunately not everybody follows it. I've had my pieces gone over with some ugly tags, or somebody doing some weak stuff that they didn't even finish. So unfortunately not everybody follows the rule. But yeah, on a surface level, yeah, if you see some tags, but just be careful out here in LA. We got a lot of gang tags, so that should be well known, that do not go over gang Graff, unless you're a gangbanger and you know what you're doing. But if you're a tagger, stay away from gang writing. If you see some tags and there's no other spots to rock, go ahead and bust a bomb over it. If you see a two-tone fill throwy and you want to rock some multicolored pieces, go ahead and do it. If you can fade it, though, that's the rule. If you could do it better than the other guy, then there should be that should be fair game, at least from what I was told.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Like, you brought it up before, like how you said, like, the culture's a little bit changed in all aspects.
Yeah.
Something I always seen, like, I feel from the past was like there was a lot more battling, like in the sense of styles. Like,
Yeah.
Who style, like the competition.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure if that's around too much anymore.
It does seem like people are kind of like neglecting style. Not really neglecting, because I do see writers out there pushing styles and stuff like that. But yeah, there's not really a real niche to it these days. Like back then, you can tell an LA writer just by his style. Back then you knew this guy was from San Francisco by the way he was doing his letters, stuff like that. But now, there's not really a particular style that is being pushed. But it is what it is. We're in 2025 almost, so times change, and there's positives and negatives to it.
Yeah. With the times now, like, I want to ask you, like, how do you feel about the commercialization of graffiti? You know, like Nike uses graffiti in their ads. Games like Fortnite, like, like, what do you feel? How do you feel about that?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really have a personal issue on it because, check it out, because I feel like it's not even my say in things like that, because you got to look at all the OGs that sweated blood and tears for this culture that we have here today, you know. So I feel like I'm not the person to say it, but at the same time, I would have thought that I didn't have a problem with commercialization of art in the past, but at the same time, like the other day I seen this dude bought an art installation which was a banana that was duct taped to a wall, and he bought that for like $20 million, and
Jeez.
that's kind of like absurd. Like that's kind of like offensive to kind of like artists in a way, you know. It's like, and then they try to say, oh, he's buying the idea behind. Like, no, like it's a banana with a duct tape. Like, you know, get out of here with that, you know. So there's a lot of stupid stuff going on in commercialization, you know. In general, it's okay, you know. It's gonna blow up. It was meant to be that way, so it's all good. But you know, just try to be understanding and respectful of the culture and where it came from. So, you know, do your research before it blows up like that. That's what I would say.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Like going that with like respecting the culture.
Sure.
You know, like I feel like, well, I want to ask you, like, what's your opinion? Like, is there a difference between street art and graffiti?
Yeah, definitely there is. You know, graffiti belongs in the streets. It's illegal. It's vandalism. The thrill, and that's what people get out of it, and that's cool. And street art is kind of like commercialized art, or it's professional art, and you know, it's two different things, and I feel like one shouldn't hate the other unless it's a banana duct taped to a wall, you know. That you should, you know, definitely like not support. But street artists, it's all good, you know. I see some of my biggest inspirations in graffiti turn into street artists, and it's all good, man. If you can make $1,000 off a canvas that you hit up your own hand style, why not? Like, you know. You know, look at Chaka, you know, Chaka from LOD. He's an infamous all city writer from LA. You know, nowadays he could just do a simple Chaka tag on a piece of paper, and people will buy for $100. Like, wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, I would. You know, so yeah, there's good and bad to it.
For sure, man. You know, I want to ask you, like, you brought up, like, when you were growing up, it was, like, really, like, the b-boying, like, real DJing, MCing, and Graff. Like, how do you see the culture today, like, of hip-hop? Like, how do you feel of the state of hip-hop today?
Well, like I said, it's got some good and bad. Like, for example, like, I was blown away by the Japanese b-boy scene. You know, I see girls, b-boy Nagi, b-boy Ayumi, they get down and they understand the culture. You know, they do the research. They know their burns and taunts and stuff like that. When I seen that in Japan, I was blown away. I was like, yo, these girls are straight up B-girls and they know the culture. So yeah, and that same with DJing, man. You got kids in you know, the UK cutting it up. You know, you got kids in Japan, China, they're all cutting it up. Brazil, and it's evolving. They're learning the skills and techniques. So yeah, there's a lot of progress on one hand, you know. So so it's a good thing. It should be that way.
Yeah, it was definitely. Hey, when you're bringing up like the B-girls and B-boys in like Japan, Brazil, like it was crazy at the Olympics.
Oh man. So about that, what was the girl's name? Raygun, right?
Yeah.
So you got this girl Raygun, and I feel like a lot, because I follow a lot of pioneers of b-boying, and for them, to be honest, that they took kind of offense to what she did, because you got to look at it from their perspective. they worked a long time for b-boying to be able to get into the Olympics. And this chick, she had one chance of representing the culture and showing it to the world how nice it is. But she kind of took it matters into her own hands and did like some corny thing and tried to flip it on her own script and say, oh, I'm doing this because, you know, dancing should be freedom and all this. And yeah, that's true, but don't do that in the Olympics, you know. You had, you know, one chance to show your skills and, you know, you kind of mocked it. And I kind of agree with the pioneers when they said that was kind of offensive to the culture. Like, who is she to stand up and say that to these guys that work so hard to get people into the Olympics? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree with you, but like, on the other hand, like there was some dope
Oh man,
b-boy b-girls from other countries like doing
man.
insane things.
B-boy Shiga Kicks, man. I've seen him since he was young, man. And yeah, he's doing his thing, man. Yeah, it's incredible. These kids are taking it to the next level in b-boying, for sure. Yeah.
Most definitely, man. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like all elements too. Like, you know, like with graffiti, like I follow like a bunch of writers in other countries,
Mm-hmm.
like
Oh yeah.
like Europe
Mm-hmm.
and like even Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it seems like the culture out there, like
Man,
it's like free range.
Man.
It seems like in other countries, man.
they have so much appreciation for the culture and, you know, what it represents to them. It, you know, hip hop is universal. You know, it really touches people, and they want to express themselves in the way that, you know, the dudes in Bronx were hitting up, you know, and that's an incredible thing, you know. Yeah, that's dope.
Most definitely. Well, going off of that, man, like this one might be another heavy hitter,
Yeah.
but what is hip hop?
What is hip hop? Hip hop is it's a culture, and it's a expression. It's an art form, and it's a way to have fun as well. We can't forget the fun, because African Bambaataa said it. You know, it's peace, love, unity, and having fun. And it's basically a movement to bring everybody together and say, yo, man, let's not fight, you know, let's not do this. You know, b-boys, there's a part of the dance called up rocking, and it's when they act like they're hitting each other with a bat and knives and stuff like that. I heard that was a thing that New York gangs used to do before they got into a brawl, to like hype themselves up and show like what they were going to do to their opponents. So b-boys would take elements like that, like real situations, and put the energy into dancing. And, you know, they would say, you know, we were too tired to dance after we battled each other, you know.
Yeah.
So that would be great if we could bring it back like that, you know, like instead of, you know, shooting each other, like why not get your homies and battle, you know, and show who's better on the dance floor, and then you ain't got nothing to say after that, you know. And that's how it was back then, you know. And yeah, that's a good thing that maybe would be nice to bring back in a way.
Man, that's dope. That's something new I learned today. Like,
Wow,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
It would be like to settle some beefs, and they'd be tired
Yeah.
from just
Oh yeah.
getting down.
I'll give you another one, bro. You know this pose right here? A lot of people think it's called the b-boy pose, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually not called the b-boy pose. It's called the hard rock stance, and I was told that from Mr. Wiggles. It's because when they used to go to the clubs back then, you'd have the thugs and the stick-up kids in the back of the clubs and standing on the wall like this, and they would be looking at people who they were gonna mug that night. So that's where they got the word hard rock stance from.
The hard rocks.
Yeah.
Man, that makes a bunch of sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
I know fools who stand like that
Yeah.
at parties.
You know, so that's the crazy thing, is that there's so many little things like that that's in hip hop that we don't really see. We don't understand where some of these things come from. We just think it's a fad and stuff like that. But no, it was a real lifestyle that they were living, and that's how things make sense. And we rock our clothes a certain way. Why do we rock Adidas? That was the fresh gear that they wanted to get to show off to the girls at the dance club and stuff like that. So there's levels to this culture, man. You know, there's history.
Yeah, most definitely. Bro.
Yeah.
All right. You know, we're gonna have to wrap up soon, but before
right.
we go, I got a couple quick hitters.
Sure.
A couple of them might be like, damn, that should be a heavy hitter. But just
I'm
quick
ready.
off the head.
Shoot them.
Who are your top 5 hip hop artists, dead or alive?
That's a really tough one right there because I got so many. But I do gotta shout. I always try to say AC Alone from Freestyle Fellowship. He's one of the most incredible rappers I've ever heard. To me, he's like number one because he has that charisma. He has a way to just just get into your head, and he was just rapping like that since the late 80s. So I would say AC Alone is one of mine. Freestyle Fellowship is a big one. I like Rakim. Rakim is the OG. I got so many, bro. It'd have to be an hour-long segment, bro, honestly. Yeah, I have a lot.
Okay. Next one, bro. What's your go-to brand of spray paint?
Well, I like the 94s. I like the Montana 94s because they smell good. Like they smell like bubble gum, bro.
Yeah.
But I mean, Resto is the OG. Like that's the easiest to get your hands on. It sprays good. But if you're gonna say favorite brand, I would always tell people Krylons because even though they're not like the best anymore for painting, Krylon, that name and like the symbol, that always was like representing of the hip hop culture. Like still to this day when I rock characters holding a spray can, I'll make sure I have a Krylon logo on there. I use my Krylon to get my style on, dude. That's the OG brand. Yeah.
All right. Most definitely. All right, last one, bro.
Sure.
A piece of advice for a youngster out there getting into any element, getting into hip hop.
A piece of advice. Well, do your research and make sure it resonates with you, and come original. Be original, and then have fun. That is the most important thing, is to have fun. And ain't nothing wrong with biting. We all gotta learn from somewhere. We all gotta learn from the OGs. Do it their way first. Get used to it, understand it, and then start experimenting your own. So be original and have fun.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Cobo, thank you for your time, bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. I was looking forward to this. So
most definitely, bro.
Yeah.
You guys are listening to Lost Element on KQBH LP, Los Angeles, California, 101.5 FM, a community service of the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory, broadcasting live on your FM dial and streaming on KQBHLA.com.
Yes, sir. All right. That's cool, man. That's fun. I always wanted like an interview, for my art, but I've done interviews for other